since a child. I was always searching for what I never know. Now I know what I was searching for. You know. But I was always searching, and that took me for many to many places. It took me to Chris. I was born a Christian, I suppose, and then converted to Catholicism. I thought that would be the answer there. And Buddhism, all kinds of things, and they didn't. They weren't right for some reason. They just weren't right. And then of course, and then I came to. I met Muslims. I met Muslims throughout. I met some Muslims when I was a seaman. You know, years and years ago. I didn't even know they were Muslims. And I went ashore, and I was hungry. And I think it was in Basra.
Basra in Iraq.
In Iraq, yes. I think it was Basra. And I wandered into this place. It was an eating house, you know. And the police were there. The workmen were there, and they were just weren't saying anything. I sat down, and someone gave me a spoon. Yeah. Yeah. And then he gave me. It was very poor food, you know, what I would have thought was poor food, just rice or something, whatever it was there, you know. And no one was eating. And I thought, oh, that's strange. So and I had the sense not to eat. And then of course the Azan came. And I didn't know that was the Azan. I didn't know what it was, you know. And then they all. And when it was finished, it was Ramadan, of course. I didn't know that even. So, and then, of course, they all started to eat and talk and things like that. You know, so that was my first. And I'd always been attracted to that part of the world in tankers with all sorts of.
Was that like a big oil tankers? Was it?
The oil tankers. That's oil tankers. Swedish, Norwegian, different ones. British as well, British ships, yeah. And that's where we always were in that part of the world. Well, not always, but some part. And I met Muslims there, and then I got sick with the sea, and I came up here, and I lived in Rochdale for many years. You know, there's quite a big Muslim community there, and as you know, and then I heard all sorts of people talking about Muslims, and then there was a lot of propaganda. It was the time of the creation of Israel, you know. It was the creation of Israel, which didn't exist, and all of the propaganda on how the brave Israelis were and what they were doing. They were creating. They were creating a paradise, you know, which was just rubbish. And of course I was stuck in by that, you know. I thought, oh, well, they are, you know, that's very good, they're doing something good, but they didn't tell you about the pain that the brothers were suffering there, and how they were taken out of their own homes. There was always, on the media, it seems to be anti-Islam always. You know, I always felt that, and I lived, of course, with Muslims. There was a shop they used to help me with my car and things like that. You know, I didn't know nothing about Islam. You know, and it was. I thought, well, the Muslims that I know are not like that. They've always been kind to me. You know, the friendly, and so I started to, after I'd read about Christianity and things like that, and studied all sorts of things, different religions, I started to read the Quran. At first I wasn't that impressed. In a way it sounded all doom and things like that, you know. That's how I interpreted it, you know. There was all disaster and things, which is what we read, of course, telling you what the hellfire is all about.
Yes.
But I didn't particularly like that. But anyway, and then I put it down, and then I read it again, and then the penny seemed to have dropped, and it was just reading the Quran, just reading it, putting it down, and then reading it, and then meeting, and I wasn't able to meet many scholarly Muslims, I didn't. It was just the usual mosque and things like that, and it's only recently that I have been to meet people like yourself, I went to Tunisia, and then I was sat in having a coffee or something in a bar in Tunisia, and there was on the Grand Mosque there, and then suddenly there was such a lot of people in that, and they were going into the mosque. I didn't know why they were going into the mosque. And a lot of more people than usual that were going, and it was the Friday prayer, and suddenly I just thought, well, I'm in the wrong place. I should be with the brothers. I should be with them there, the people there. I really wanted to be walking with them. I didn't know why, into the world, and then. I asked someone there about Islam. I said, "Are you interested in Islam?" He said, "Yes." And he spent a lot of time talking about Islam, and it all made sense. And they took me with something to eat, and talked about Islam, and into the mosque. The first time I'd been to a mosque, of course, I was very attracted by just being there. There was something about just being in the mosque, and anyway, I took the Shahada there. Yeah. And then came back to England, and then came to a place where there was more Muslims, and that was it. The Muslim community has supported me very well, as far as they could. But I had special needs with not being able to hear properly, and I didn't. I believe I got what I was able to understand at the time. Not long since I've been a Muslim, but I was desperately wanting to know about Islam, and desperately, and I was thirsty. But was really given a stone rather than Islam. I couldn't, but I don't speak Arabic, and of course the English is very important if people are English speaking. Of course, what I desperately need, of course, not being able to now, not being able to read or write is something that I can. Something that I can hear. But strangely, since I had the stroke, I've learned more about Islam than I did, and I read all the literatures in Islam and read the Quran. But now I can't read. I can't read the Quran. I can't listen to people. But I've learned more just by. I'm able to read read a little bit like that, but it's very difficult for me to read or listen to things, and then I've learned more just by reading a little, just by reading a small amount. But my belief is that we get what Allah wishes to give us, and I'm very grateful for what Allah has given to me. That's it.